The crystal throne room sparkled with light from 1,000 stars. Queen Veltara sat on her throne, her 6 purple eyes fixed on the holographic display floating before her. The image showed her daughter, Princess Zarathiel, running through a dark corridor while explosions lit up the walls around her. Behind the princess ran a human. He was not tall or strong-looking. His clothes were dirty and torn. Blood ran down his face from a cut on his forehead. In his hands he carried a simple plasma rifle that looked too big for him. But he never stopped running. He never left the princess behind. "Turn it off," the queen said. Her voice was cold like ice. The hologram disappeared. Princess Zarathiel stood in the center of the room. Her blue skin was still dirty from the fight. Her silver hair hung loose around her shoulders. She looked tired, but her head was held high. "Mother, I can explain," the princess said. Queen Veltara stood up from her throne. She was much taller than her daughter. Her royal robes moved like water around her feet as she walked down the steps. "Explain? You want to explain why a human, a primitive creature from a backwater world, is protecting my daughter?" The princess did not look away. "Marcus saved my life. Marcus." The queen's voice rose. "You know this creature's name? He is not a creature. He is a person. And yes, I know his name. He has been protecting me for 6 months now." The queen walked around her daughter in a slow circle. 6 months. For 6 months you have been traveling with this human and you never told me. I knew you would not understand. Understand what? That my daughter, heir to the greatest empire in the galaxy, is being protected by a being whose species only learned to travel between stars 100 years ago. Princess Zarathiel turned to face her mother. "Yes, that is exactly what I need you to understand." The queen stopped walking. She looked at her daughter with all 6 eyes. "Then explain it to me. Make me understand why this human fights so hard for you. What did you promise him? Gold ships? A planet of his own?" "I promised him nothing." "Nothing?" The queen laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "No one fights like that for nothing. I saw the recording, daughter. This human killed 12 Krillian assassins, 12, and they are the best killers in the galaxy. What does he want from you?" The princess was quiet for a long moment. She looked out the large window at the stars beyond. "He wants nothing, mother. That is what makes him different." "Different from what?" "Different from everyone else who says they will protect me." Queen Veltara sat back down on her throne. "What do you mean?" Princess Zarathiel walked to the window. She put her hand on the cool glass. "When was the last time someone protected you because they wanted to? Not because you paid them. Not because they feared you. Not because they hoped to gain something. When did someone last protect you simply because they thought you were worth protecting?" The queen was quiet. She could not remember such a time. "Marcus does not know how much money we have," the princess continued. "He does not care about our ships or our armies. He has never asked for anything except food and a place to sleep. He protects me because he thinks it is the right thing to do. That is impossible. All beings act for their own good. It is the way of the universe." Princess Zarathiel turned back to her mother. "Is it? Then why did he stay when the Valian guards ran away? Why did he fight when he could have hidden? Why does he put himself between me and danger every single day?" The queen leaned forward. "Tell me exactly what happened on Kepler 442b. The princess took a deep breath. "I was there to meet with the mining consortium. You remember, it was supposed to be a simple trade talk. But someone had paid the miners to capture me. They wanted to sell me to the hegemony of Sorn. I know this part. Continue." "When the attack started, my guards ran. All of them. They decided that their lives were worth more than mine. I was alone in a room with 20 armed miners coming for me." The queen's eyes narrowed. "And then?" "Then Marcus appeared. He was just a freight pilot delivering supplies to the station. He did not know who I was. He just saw someone in trouble and decided to help." "He helped you escape?" "More than that. He fought them. A human with nothing but a plasma wrench and an emergency blaster fought 20 armed miners to give me time to reach the ship." Queen Veltara was quiet. She had read the official report, but it had not included these details. "He was hurt badly," the princess said. 3 broken ribs, a dislocated shoulder, burns on his arms from plasma fire. But he kept fighting until I was safe. And then I asked him why he did it. Do you know what he said?" The queen shook her head. "He said running away felt wrong. That was all. Not because I was a princess. Not because he hoped for a reward. Running away felt wrong to him, so he stayed and fought." The queen stood up again. She walked to a different window and looked out at the ships moving between the space stations around their world. What did you do then? I offered him anything he wanted. Money, ships, a position in our Navy. He said no to everything. He just asked if I needed someone to watch my back for future trips. So you hired him as a guard? No, Mother. He would not take payment. He said protecting people should not be a job you do for money. It should be something you do because you care. Queen Veltara turned to look at her daughter. And you believe this? You believe he truly wants nothing. I have tested him, Mother. For 6 months I have watched him. He has had 100 chances to hurt me or sell information about me. He has never taken any of them. He sleeps on the floor outside my room when we travel. He eats simple food. He never asked for anything. Then what does he get from this arrangement? Princess Zarathiel smiled for the first time since entering the throne room. He gets to know that he did the right thing. That is enough for him. The queen was quiet for a long time. Finally she spoke. Show me the rest of the recording from today. The hologram appeared again. This time it showed the end of the fight. Marcus stood over 3 dead Krillian assassins. His clothes were torn and bloody. He was breathing hard. But when Princess Zarathiel called his name, he turned to her immediately. Are you hurt? His voice came through the speakers. No, thanks to you, the princess replied in the recording. Marcus nodded. Good. We should leave before more of them come. The queen watched as the human checked the princess for injuries. His hands were gentle and careful. There was no desire in his eyes, no greed, just concern for her safety. Turn it off, the queen said. The hologram disappeared. Mother, the princess said, do you understand now? Queen Veltara looked at her daughter. I understand that this human is either the most selfless being in the galaxy or the most dangerous. Time will tell which one is true. 6 months earlier, the cargo ship Lucky Strike drifted through space toward Kepler 442b. Inside the small ship, Marcus Chen sat in the pilot's chair, eating a meal from a plastic container. The food was not good, but it was cheap. That mattered when you were a freight pilot trying to pay for fuel and ship repairs. Marcus was 32 years old. He had brown hair that was always messy and dark eyes that looked tired most of the time. His clothes were clean but old. He had been flying cargo ships for 8 years, moving supplies from one world to another. It was not exciting work, but it paid enough to keep him alive. The communication system made a beeping sound. Marcus put down his food and pressed a button. This is Kepler Station Control, a voice said. Cargo ship Lucky Strike, you are cleared to dock at Bay 7. Copy that, Control. Lucky Strike coming in. Marcus guided his ship toward the large space station that orbited the mining world. The station was not beautiful like the ones near Earth or the Celestial Empire worlds. It was just metal and glass built to serve the miners who dug valuable metals from the planet below. As he docked his ship, Marcus could see other vessels at the station. Most were mining ships or other cargo vessels like his own. But one ship stood out. It was sleek and white, with silver markings that seemed to glow in the station's lights. Marcus had never seen anything like it. Must be some rich folks visiting, he said to himself. Marcus finished docking and began unloading his cargo. The station manager, a tall alien with 4 arms, checked each container. Good delivery, the alien said. Payment will be transferred to your account within 1 hour. Thanks, Marcus said. I'll be staying overnight if that's okay. My ship needs some minor repairs. No problem. Bay 7 is yours until tomorrow morning. Marcus was fixing a loose wire in his engine room when he heard shouting from outside his ship. He stuck his head out of the cargo bay and saw people running down the station corridor. Some of them looked scared. What's going on? He called to a passing miner. Pirates! The miner shouted back. They're attacking the diplomatic section. Marcus frowned. Pirates did not usually attack space stations. Stations had too many defenses. But the shouting was getting louder, and now he could hear the sound of energy weapons firing. He grabbed his emergency blaster and a plasma wrench from his toolkit. The blaster was old and not very powerful, but it was better than nothing. Marcus was not a soldier, but he had grown up in a rough part of Earth's Luna colony. He knew how to fight when he had to. The diplomatic section was 3 levels up from the cargo bays. Marcus took the emergency stairs following the sound of fighting. When he reached the right level, he saw bodies on the floor. Some were miners, but others wore the uniforms of the Celestial Empire. Marcus heard a voice speaking in a language he did not understand. It sounded like singing, but there was fear in it. He followed the voice down a corridor until he came to a door that was slightly open. Through the gap, he could see into a large room. 20 miners with weapons stood around a young woman who was backed against the far wall. She was not human. Her skin was blue and her hair was silver. She wore clothes that looked expensive, and there was something about the way she stood that made Marcus think she was important. "Come quietly, princess," one of the miners said in the common galactic language. "The hegemony of Sorn pays well for royal prisoners, princess." That explained the fancy ship and the expensive clothes. This was someone from the Celestial Empire's royal family. Marcus looked around for the princess's guards. There were several bodies wearing imperial uniforms near the door, but they had been shot in the back. They had been running away when they died. The miners started moving toward the princess. She raised her hands and Marcus could see energy building around her fingers. She had some kind of power, but she looked tired. Maybe she had already used too much of it. Marcus made a decision. He did not know this princess. He did not owe her anything. But 20 armed people against one tired woman did not seem fair to him. He kicked the door open and stepped into the room. "Hey," he shouted. All 20 miners turned to look at him. Marcus realized he had not thought this through very well. He had one small blaster and a wrench. They had military-grade weapons. "Human," one of the miners said. "This is not your business. Leave now and we will not hurt you." Marcus looked at the princess. She was staring at him with wide eyes. She looked surprised that anyone had come to help her. "Sorry," Marcus said to the miners. "Can't do that. Why not?" Marcus thought about it for a moment. "Because running away feels wrong," the lead miner laughed. "You will die for a stranger?" "Maybe, but at least I won't die running away." Marcus fired his blaster at the nearest miner and dove behind a table as return fire filled the air. The plasma wrench in his other hand was heavy and well made. When the first miner came around the table, Marcus hit him with it. The fight that followed was not pretty. Marcus was not a trained soldier. He did not know fancy fighting moves, but he knew how to be stubborn and he knew how to take pain. Every time a miner got close to the princess, Marcus got in the way. He was hit by plasma fire twice. The burns hurt badly, but he kept moving. When his blaster ran out of power, he used the wrench and anything else he could grab. A chair, a piece of broken table. His fists when nothing else was available. The princess helped when she could. Her powers let her throw miners across the room or create barriers of energy, but Marcus could see she was getting weaker. "The service tunnels," she called to him. "Behind that panel." Marcus looked where she was pointing. There was an access panel in the wall that led to the station's maintenance areas. If they could reach it, they might be able to escape. "Go," Marcus shouted. "I'll cover you." The princess shook her head. "Not without you. I'll be right behind you." She looked at him for a moment, then ran toward the panel. Marcus stood between her and the miners, swinging his wrench at anyone who tried to follow. A plasma bolt hit him in the shoulder, spinning him around. Another hit his leg and he fell to one knee. But the princess reached the panel. She got it open and looked back at him. "Come on," she called. Marcus stood up, ignoring the pain in his leg, and ran toward her. More plasma fire filled the air around him. He felt something hit his ribs and the breath went out of his lungs. But he kept running. The princess grabbed his arm and pulled him into the tunnel with her. They crawled through the narrow space as fast as they could, following the tunnel toward the docking bays. "Why did you do that?" the princess asked as they crawled. Marcus had to think about her question. "Because it was the right thing to do. You do not even know who I am. Does not matter. You needed help." They reached another access panel. The princess opened it carefully and looked out. "It's clear. My ship is in Bay 1. They climbed out of the tunnel. Marcus could barely walk now. The injuries were catching up with him and he felt dizzy from blood loss. The princess put his arm around her shoulders and helped him walk. "What is your name?" "Marcus. Marcus Chen. I am Princess Zarathil of the Celestial Empire." "Nice to meet you, Princess." She looked at him strangely. "You are not going to bow or ask for a reward?" Marcus managed a small smile. "Would not be much of a bow right now. And I did not help you for a reward." They reached her ship. It was even more beautiful up close. The princess helped Marcus up the ramp and into a seat in the main cabin. "I need to get you to a medical facility," she said. "Just get us away from here first," Marcus said. "Those miners might still be coming." The princess nodded and went to the pilot's chair. Marcus closed his eyes and listened to the sound of the engines starting up. He was hurt badly, but they were alive. That was what mattered. Marcus, the princess said from the pilot's seat. Yeah? Thank you. Marcus opened his eyes and looked at her. You are welcome, princess. No one has ever done anything like that for me before. What do you mean? Stayed to fight when they could have run away. My own guards abandoned me. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Their loss, he said finally. The princess looked back at him. Something in her expression had changed. Yes, she said. It was. 3 months had passed since Marcus first met Princess Zarathiel. He had been with her on 12 different missions to various worlds in the Celestial Empire. Each time he had protected her when danger came. Each time he had asked for nothing in return. This worried the Galactic Council. Marcus sat in a small white room with no windows. His hands were chained to the table in front of him. He had been here for 2 days now, though it was hard to tell time without any clocks or natural light. They had taken him while the princess was in a council meeting. She probably did not even know he was gone yet. The door opened and 3 aliens walked in. Marcus recognized them from the princess's descriptions. The tall, thin one with gray skin was Counselor Vrex from the Hegemony of Sorn. The short, round one with too many eyes was Counselor Blix from the Trade Federation. The third one looked almost human except for the blue-green skin. That was Counselor Marin from the Republic of Worlds. Hello, Marcus, Counselor Marin said. Her voice sounded friendly, but Marcus could see the coldness in her eyes. We hope you have been comfortable. I have been better, Marcus said. What do you want? Counselor Vrex placed a data pad on the table. We want to understand you, human. Princess Zarathiel tells everyone that you protect her out of simple kindness. We find this difficult to believe. Why? Because no rational being acts without expecting something in return, Counselor Blix said. His voice sounded like gravel in a metal container. Everything has a price, even loyalty. Marcus looked at each of them. So what do you think my price is? Counselor Marin smiled. That is what we are here to find out. She activated the data pad. A holographic display appeared above it, showing images of a large house on a green world. The house was beautiful, with wide windows and a garden full of colorful plants. This could be yours, she said. A home on Paradise 7, one of the most beautiful worlds in the galaxy. The house comes with 100 acres of land and enough money to live comfortably for the rest of your life. Marcus looked at the images. The house was nicer than anything he had ever seen. In exchange for what? Leave the princess, Counselor Vrex said. Go back to your cargo ship and your simple life. Forget you ever met her, and if I say no, then we increase the offer. The display changed. Now it showed a fleet of cargo ships. Your own shipping company, Counselor Blix said. 20 ships. Trade routes throughout the galaxy. You would be rich beyond your wildest dreams. Marcus was quiet for a moment. You really think that is what I want? Every being wants wealth and comfort, Counselor Marin said. It is natural. What if it is not what I want? Then you are lying to yourself, Counselor Vrex said. Or you are insane. The aliens left him alone for several hours after that. Marcus tried to sleep, but the chains made it difficult. He thought about the princess and wondered if she was looking for him. He hoped she would not do anything dangerous to try to find him. When the door opened again, it was different aliens. These ones wore black uniforms and carried weapons. They did not speak to him. They just hurt him. Marcus had been hurt before. Growing up in Luna Colony, he had been in plenty of fights. But this was different. These aliens knew exactly how to cause pain without doing permanent damage. They were experts. They hurt him for hours. His ribs, his arms, his legs. They used electricity and heat and cold. All the time they asked him questions. What is the princess's real plan? Who is she working with in the outer systems? What information has she shared with you? Marcus told them the truth. The princess had no secret plans. She was not working with anyone against the Galactic Council. She had never shared any classified information with him, but they did not believe him. You expect us to believe that a member of the royal family travels with a human and tells him nothing important? One of the interrogators asked. She talks to me about normal things, Marcus said through swollen lips. Her favorite foods, books she likes to read, places she wants to visit, nothing secret. Impossible, they hurt him more. Marcus gritted his teeth and endured it. He had promised himself he would never betray the princess no matter what they did to him. On the 3rd day, Counselor Marin came back. She looked at Marcus's injuries and shook her head. This is unnecessary, she said. We can stop this right now. Just tell us what we want to know. I already told you everything, Marcus said. You just do not want to believe it. We want to believe that the princess trusts you with important secrets. That you are more than just a simple bodyguard. Sorry to disappoint you. Counselor Marin sat down across from him. Let me try a different approach. What if I told you that the princess has been lying to you? About what? She activated another holographic display. This one showed images of Marcus fighting the miners on Kepler 442b. But the images had been changed. Now it looked like the princess was working with the miners, pointing at Marcus and giving them orders. She set up the whole attack, Counselor Marin said. She wanted to make you think she was in danger so you would trust her. You were never saving her. You were falling into her trap. Marcus looked at the false images. They were very convincing. If he had not been there himself, he might have believed them. Nice try, he said. You do not believe it? I know what really happened. I was there. But how can you be sure? Memory can be changed. Humans are very easy to manipulate. Marcus met her eyes. Because I know her. And she would never do something like that. Counselor Marin looked frustrated. You have known her for 3 months. We have known her for her entire life. Trust us when we tell you what kind of person she really is. No. No? I said no. I trust my own judgment more than yours. On the 4th day, they brought in Counselor Vrex. He sat down and placed a small device on the table. This contains a recording, he said. The princess made it yesterday. He activated the device. Princess Zarathiel's voice filled the room. Marcus, if you are hearing this, then the council has told you I am dead. They are lying. I am safe, but I cannot come for you. The council will not release you unless you agree to leave me alone forever. I want you to take their offer. Take the money and the ships and go live a good life. You have done enough for me already. You do not owe me anything more. The recording ended. Counselor Vrex smiled. Even she wants you to abandon her. Marcus was quiet for a long time. Finally he spoke. That is not her real voice. What do you mean? When she talks to me, her voice gets softer. More relaxed. This voice is too formal, too careful. You made this recording. Counselor Vrex's smile disappeared. You are being paranoid. Maybe, but I still do not believe you. On the 5th day, they tried their final test. Counselor Blix came in with a sad expression on his face. I am sorry, Marcus, he said. The princess is dead. Marcus felt like someone had hit him in the chest. What? There was an attack on her ship. Pirates from the Outer Rim. Her body was recovered this morning. Show me. Counselor Blix activated a holographic display. It showed the burned wreckage of the princess's ship floating in space. Then it showed a body covered with a white sheet. We are truly sorry, Counselor Blix said. We know you cared for her. Marcus stared at the images. His heart felt heavy in his chest. But something was wrong. The ship in the recording was not the same one the princess usually flew. The markings were different. I want to see her, Marcus said quietly. What? I want to see her body. I want to make sure she gets a proper burial. Counselor Blix looked confused. Why, she is dead. It does not matter anymore. It matters to me. But you could be free now. We can give you anything you want. Money, ships, power. Why do you still care about a dead princess? Marcus looked at him. Because caring does not stop just because someone dies. If she is really gone, then someone should make sure she is treated with respect. Since her guards ran away again, I guess that someone is me. Counselor Blix stared at him. You would spend your life mourning a dead alien? I would spend my life honoring a good friend. The counselor left without another word. An hour later, all 3 counselors returned. They looked tired and frustrated. We do not understand you, Counselor Marin said. That is okay, Marcus replied. I do not understand you either. What will it take to make you leave the princess alone? Marcus thought about it. Nothing you can offer me. But why? What do you get from protecting her? I get to know that I did the right thing. That is all? That is enough. The counselors looked at each other. Finally, Counselor Vrex spoke. The princess is not dead. That was another test. Marcus nodded. I figured. How? Because you would not care about giving me her body if she was really dead. You only care because she is still alive and you want to separate us. Counselor Marin stood up. This is pointless. He will never break. No, Marcus agreed. I will not. They left him alone after that. A few hours later, the door opened and Princess Zarathiel walked in. She looked angry and worried at the same time. "Marcus," she said, running to him. "Are you all right?" "I am fine," he said, though he clearly was not. "How did you find me?" "I made some threats. The council decided it was easier to give you back than to deal with me." She unlocked his chains with a key card. "I am so sorry this happened. If I had known—" "It is not your fault," Marcus said. "They just wanted to see if they could buy me or break me." "And?" Marcus smiled even though it hurt his split lip. "Turns out they could not." Princess Zarathiel helped him stand up. "Come on." Let the attack came without warning. Marcus was checking the security systems in the royal palace when the first alarm started blaring. Red lights flashed in the corridors and the automated voice began repeating the same message over and over. "Code Black. All personnel to emergency positions. Code Black." Princess Zarathiel was in the throne room with her mother when Marcus found them. Queen Veltara was speaking rapidly to several military commanders on a holographic display. "How many ships?" the queen asked. 300 hegemony vessels, Your Majesty," came the reply from Admiral Koth. "They came out of hyperspace at multiple points around the system. We are surrounded. What are our chances? Not good. They have newer ships and superior numbers. We can hold them for maybe 6 hours before they break through our defenses." Marcus stepped forward. "Your Majesty, we need to get you and the princess to safety." Queen Veltara looked at him. "There is nowhere safe, human. If the palace falls, the entire empire falls with it." "Then we do not let the palace fall," Marcus said simply. The queen stared at him. "You think you can stop 300 enemy ships? No, but I can help stop the ones that get through." As if summoned by his words, another alarm began sounding. This one was different, more urgent. "Landing craft detected," Admiral Koth's voice said through the speakers. "Enemy troops are attempting to breach the palace directly." Marcus turned to Princess Zarathiel. "Stay with your mother. I will handle this." "Marcus, no," the princess said. "There are too many of them. Maybe. But running away still feels wrong to me." Before anyone could stop him, Marcus was out the door and running toward the palace's outer defenses. The Celestial Empire's Royal Guard was well-trained and well-equipped. They had energy shields, advanced weapons, and tactical training that took years to complete. But as Marcus ran through the corridors, he could see the fear in their eyes. They had never faced a direct assault on the palace before. Marcus reached the main entrance just as the first enemy soldiers broke through. They were Sorn warriors, genetically enhanced super soldiers bred for war. Each one was 7 feet tall and covered in natural armor plating. Their weapons could punch through most known defenses. The royal guards fell back immediately following their training. When faced with superior force, retreat to a defensive position and call for support. It was logical and tactical. Marcus did not retreat. He grabbed a plasma rifle from a fallen guard and opened fire on the Sorn warriors. His first shot hit the lead warrior in the chest, staggering him but not dropping him. The warrior turned toward Marcus with a roar of anger. "Human," the warrior bellowed. "You dare challenge the Sorn?" "Yeah," Marcus said, firing again. "I dare." What followed was not a battle in the traditional sense. Marcus did not fight like a trained soldier. He fought like someone who had nothing to lose and everything to protect. When his rifle ran out of power, he picked up fallen weapons. When those failed, he used whatever was around him. The Sorn warriors were confused. They had trained to fight against logical opponents who would retreat when outmatched. Marcus did not retreat. When cornered, he attacked. When surrounded, he created chaos. When wounded, he kept fighting. Other guards saw what Marcus was doing and began to follow his example. Instead of falling back, they held their ground. Instead of waiting for orders, they adapted to the situation. The disciplined retreat became a desperate last stand. Lieutenant Kira, the guard captain, found Marcus holding a corridor against 5 Sorn warriors. He was bleeding from several wounds and his makeshift barricade was falling apart, but he had not given up an inch of ground. "Marcus," she called, "fall back. We can regroup at the next checkpoint." "No," Marcus shouted back, firing at another warrior. "They get through here, they can reach the throne room. This is where we stop them. It is suicide." "Then it is suicide. But they do not pass." Lieutenant Kira looked at the human fighting with desperate fury against impossible odds. Something about his refusal to give up inspired her. She made a decision that went against all her training. "All units, hold your positions," she commanded over the comm system. "No retreat. No surrender. The effect was immediate. Throughout the palace, royal guards stopped falling back and started fighting with the same desperate determination that Marcus showed. They stopped thinking about tactical advantages and started thinking about protecting their home. The Sorn invasion force, expecting a quick victory against a retreating enemy, found themselves in a grinding battle against defenders who refused to break. Every corridor became a battleground. Every room had to be taken by force. In the main communication center, Marcus found himself face to face with a Sorn war prime, the ultimate version of their enhanced warriors. The creature was 8 feet tall and armed with weapons that could level buildings. It had been bred and trained for one purpose: winning battles. "You fight well for a primitive," the war prime said in perfect galactic common. "But you cannot win. I am superior to you in every way." Marcus was exhausted. His improvised armor was cracked and smoking. His weapons were nearly depleted. By every logical measure, he should surrender. Instead, he smiled. "You know what your problem is?" Marcus said. "Enlighten me. You think fighting is about being superior, but sometimes fighting is just about not giving up." The war prime attacked with calculated precision, using moves that had been perfected over centuries of warfare. Each strike was designed to end the battle quickly and efficiently. Marcus did not fight with precision. He fought like someone who was afraid, angry, and desperate all at the same time. He used tactics that made no sense. He took risks that should have gotten him killed. He did things that no trained warrior would ever do, and it worked. The war prime had trained to fight against other professional soldiers. He knew how to counter every recognized fighting style in the galaxy, but he had never faced someone who fought with pure emotional desperation. When Marcus ran out of ammunition, he threw the empty weapon at the war prime's head. When the alien blocked that, Marcus tackled him around the waist. When the war prime tried to throw him off, Marcus bit his arm. "What are you doing?" the war prime demanded. "Winning," Marcus replied, grabbing a piece of broken metal and driving it into a gap in the alien's armor. The war prime fell. As he died, he looked up at Marcus with something like respect in his eyes. "I do not understand you, human." "That is okay," Marcus said. "Most people do not." The battle for the palace lasted 8 hours. When it was over, the Sorn invasion force had been defeated, but at a terrible cost. Half the royal guard was dead or wounded. The palace was badly damaged, but it had not fallen. Marcus sat on the steps of the throne room, too tired to move. His body was covered in bandages and every breath hurt, but he was alive, and so was Princess Zarathiel. The princess found him there as the sun rose over the palace. "Marcus," she said softly. "How do you feel?" "Like I got stepped on by a battleship," he replied. "But alive. The doctors say you should be dead. The amount of damage you took, the blood you lost. They do not understand how you kept fighting." Marcus shrugged, then winced as the movement pulled at his injuries. "Stubbornness, I guess. Is that what you call it?" "What would you call it?" Princess Zarathiel sat down beside him on the steps. "Courage, honor, the kind of fighting spirit that most beings only read about in old stories. I am not that special," Marcus said. "I just did what needed to be done." "That is exactly what makes you special." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the sunrise paint the sky in shades of gold and pink. "Marcus?" the princess said finally. "Yeah? Thank you for not running away." Marcus smiled. "Where would I run to? This is my home now too, is it?" "Well, it is where you are. And someone has to watch your back." Princess Zarathiel looked at him with surprise. "You think of this as home?" "I think of any place I'm protecting good people as home," Marcus said. "That is what home means to me." Later that day, Queen Veltara summoned Marcus to the throne room. She looked tired but grateful. "The reports from my commanders are difficult to believe," she said. "They tell me that you single-handedly changed the course of the battle." "I had help," Marcus said. "Your guards are brave. They just needed someone to show them that retreat is not always the best option. You showed them how to fight like humans. I showed them how to fight, like they had something worth protecting." The queen nodded slowly. "I am beginning to understand why my daughter values you so highly. She is worth protecting, Your Majesty." "Yes," the queen said. "She is. And apparently so are the rest of us." Queen Veltara stood up from her throne. "Marcus Chen, I offer you any reward you desire. Name it, and it is yours." Marcus did not hesitate. Just let me keep doing my job, Your Majesty. That is all? That is everything. The Queen looked at him for a long moment. Then she smiled for the first time since the attack began. Very well, Marcus Chen. But from now on you will not be protecting just my daughter. I want you to train others to fight the way you do. I do not know if that can be taught. Perhaps not. But we must try. The galaxy is full of beings who fight with logic and strategy. Sometimes we need someone who fights with heart. Marcus nodded. I can try to teach them, Your Majesty. But they will have to find their own reasons to fight like that. What aces get you to a... 1 week after the battle, Queen Veltara stood on the palace balcony looking out at the reconstruction efforts. Repair ships moved between the damaged defense platforms like metal insects, slowly rebuilding what the war had broken. In the distance, she could see the wreckage of Sorn ships being towed away for salvage. The cost had been high, but they had won. And they had won because of one human who refused to run away. Princess Zarathiel joined her mother on the balcony. The council wants to meet with you tomorrow. What do they want now? They want to understand what happened here. How we defeated a force that should have destroyed us. Queen Veltara nodded. And what will you tell them? The truth. That sometimes the most advanced civilizations need the most primitive virtues to survive. Below them in the palace gardens, they could see Marcus working with a group of young guards. He was teaching them hand-to-hand combat, showing them how to fight when their weapons failed and their tactics broke down. The guards were struggling with his methods. They had been trained to think their way through fights, not feel their way through them. Watch his stance, Marcus was saying to a young Valian guard. You are thinking too much. Fighting is not a math problem. It is about heart. But my instructor said to always analyze the opponent's weaknesses, the guard replied. Your instructors never had to protect someone they cared about, Marcus said. When you really need to win, analysis is too slow. You have to trust your instincts. The guard tried again, and this time his movements were more natural, more determined. Better, Marcus said. Remember, you are not trying to win points in a competition. You are trying to make sure the people behind you stay safe. That changes everything. Queen Veltara watched this exchange with interest. He is teaching them to fight like humans. No, Princess Zarathiel said. He is teaching them to fight like they have something worth protecting. That is different, is it? Yes, any being can learn to fight with desperation if they have a good enough reason. Marcus just helps them find that reason. A communication officer appeared on the balcony. Your Majesty, Admiral Koth is here to see you. Send him up. Admiral Koth was a tall, dignified celestial with years of military experience. But when he bowed to the Queen, there was something different about him. He looked humbled. Your Majesty, he said, I have completed my analysis of the battle, and, by all logical measures, we should have lost. The enemy had superior numbers, better ships, and a solid tactical plan. Our defeat should have been certain, but it was not. No. And the reason is documented in hundreds of battle recordings from throughout the palace. Admiral Koth activated a holographic display. Watch this. The display showed Marcus fighting in the main corridor. He was outnumbered 5-1, bleeding from multiple wounds, and his weapons were nearly depleted. Any rational fighter would have retreated. Instead, Marcus charged. See here, Admiral Koth said. The human does something that makes no tactical sense. He abandons his defensive position to attack a superior force. According to all military doctrine, this should result in his immediate death. But it does not. No, because the enemy was not prepared for such an irrational action. They hesitated for just a moment, confused by his behavior. That hesitation allowed him to close the distance and eliminate 2 of them before they could react. The display changed to show another scene. This time it was Lieutenant Kira and her squad holding a checkpoint against overwhelming odds. Now watch the Royal Guards, Admiral Koth continued. After seeing the humans' example, they begin fighting differently. Instead of following standard retreat protocols, they choose to make desperate stands in impossible situations. And it worked. It worked because the enemy had trained to fight against logical opponents. When faced with defenders who abandoned logic in favor of emotional determination, their tactical superiority became irrelevant. Queen Veltara studied the recordings. You are saying that being irrational gave us an advantage. I am saying that being willing to act irrationally when protecting something important gave us an advantage, Admiral Koth corrected. The human did not fight without thought. He fought without fear of consequences. There is a difference. Princess Zarathiel stepped forward. May I show you something else, Admiral? Of course, Your Highness. She activated another recording. This one showed the aftermath of the battle. Marcus was sitting with a wounded Soren prisoner, sharing his water and food with the enemy soldier. After everything they did, he still shows them kindness, she said. That is not irrational. That is moral. Admiral Koth watched the recording with amazement. He treats an enemy warrior as a fellow being in need. Because that is what he is, Marcus's voice said from behind them. They turned to see him approaching the balcony. His left arm was still in a medical brace and he moved slowly, but he was healing well. Marcus, Queen Veltara said, we were just discussing your fighting methods. Not much to discuss, Marcus replied. I just did what felt right. But that is exactly what we need to understand, Admiral Koth said. How do you know what feels right? How do you make decisions so quickly without tactical analysis? Marcus thought about the question. I guess I ask myself one thing. What would I want someone to do if the people I cared about were in danger? Then I do that. That is it? That is it. Admiral Koth looked confused. But what about calculating odds? Analyzing enemy strength? Planning escape routes? Those things are useful, Marcus said. But they come second. First, you decide that you are going to protect people. Everything else is just details. But what if the odds are impossible? What if you cannot win? Marcus shrugged. Then you try anyway. Sometimes impossible things happen when you refuse to give up. Queen Veltara had been listening to this conversation in silence. Now she spoke. Marcus, I have a question for you. Yes, Your Majesty? Why do you think other beings find it so hard to fight the way you do? Marcus considered this carefully. I think maybe they think too much about themselves. What do you mean? When I fight, I am not thinking about whether I might get hurt or killed. I am thinking about keeping the princess safe. When you stop worrying about what happens to you, you can focus completely on protecting others. But surely you fear death. Of course I do. But I fear failing to protect people I care about more than I fear dying. Princess Zarathiel moved to stand beside Marcus. That is what makes him different, Mother. Most beings protect others because it benefits them somehow. Marcus protects others because he believes it is right, even when it costs him everything. Queen Veltara looked at her daughter and then at Marcus. And you learned this where? What human institution teaches such selflessness? Marcus laughed. No institution taught me this. I learned it from my grandmother. Your grandmother? She raised me after my parents died. She was not rich or powerful or educated. She just believed that people should take care of each other. She used to say that the best way to have a good life is to make sure other people have good lives too. And you believed her? I tried her way and it worked. When I protect people I care about, I feel like I am doing something important. When I just look out for myself, I feel empty. Admiral Koth shook his head. This makes no evolutionary sense. Beings who sacrifice themselves for others should be eliminated from the gene pool. Maybe, Marcus said. But beings who protect their communities help those communities survive. And strong communities produce more successful people. You think of the princess as your community? Marcus looked at Princess Zarathiel. I think of her as my family. And you protect family. Queen Veltara was quiet for a long moment. Finally she spoke. I understand now why my daughter values you so highly. And I understand why the Galactic Council fears you. They fear me. They fear what you represent. You show that their perfectly logical, calculated society is missing something essential. You prove that sometimes the most primitive emotions are more powerful than the most advanced technology. I just do what feels right, yes, and in a galaxy where most beings have forgotten how to feel anything except ambition and fear, that makes you dangerous. Princess Zarathiel took Marcus's uninjured hand. Not dangerous, necessary, Queen Veltara nodded. Indeed. Which is why I have made a decision. She turned to Admiral Koth. I want you to establish a new unit within our military. Call it the Human Guard. The Human Guard, Your Majesty? Humans who will serve as protectors for members of the royal family and other important officials. Train them, equip them, but most importantly, never try to make them fight like us. You want them to fight like Marcus? I want them to fight like humans. With heart instead of just strategy, with loyalty instead of just duty, with the willingness to do impossible things for people they care about. Marcus looked surprised. Your Majesty, I am honored, but there are not many humans who would want to leave their own worlds to serve as guards. Then we will find the ones who do want to. The ones who understand that protection is not a job, it is a calling. Admiral Koth bowed. I will begin recruiting immediately. Good, and Admiral? Yes, Your Majesty. Make sure you find humans who fight for the right reasons. We do not want mercenaries. We want guardians. After Admiral Koth left, the three of them stood in comfortable silence watching the sun set over the capital city.